Coal will have a very bright future in the Hunter Valley for many decades to come because of the strong export markets we've developed, including Taiwan.
For just a moment, picture yourself living here. That's what the new display suite in the former David Jones building is designed for, showing off stage one of the $750 million East End development, helping those interested in making the move try before they buy.
You can walk in here and get a real feel of what it's going to be like, the level of detail and the attention of the finishes and quality.
Tomorrow, these doors will open to the public, so potential investors can see what the East End has to offer. Interest is already through the roof. 150 people are booked in across the next 3 days to discuss buying one of the 155 apartments on the market from tomorrow.
It really shows how long Newcastle has been waiting for a project like this. We've sat here and watched this site fall into rack and ruin for so long. It's a world-class planned development that I believe is going to position Newcastle on the world map.
Emma Murphy, NBN News.
It was a very deliberate decision to base our first skills point here, but also to have it focused on those areas because it's important to this local economy.
Those students, when they come in, are doing a course that means they lead straight into work, and that's what it's about.
Farewelling one of their finest. There was no champagne, just a true blue Aussie favourite. After serving on the thin blue line for more than 30 years, Senior Constable Leonard Rees called time on his illustrious career.
I can tell you that some very big shoes to fill with Lenny's retirement, and he is retiring, but he's retiring very proudly because he's spent 32 years in the cops and really has left a legacy.
A traffic services officer for 29 years, one of the department's longest serving and most decorated.
Such wonderful people to deal with inside the police and outside. You can reflect on it for a long, long time, but many moments, many good people.
His passion for the front line inspiring his son Mark to follow in his footsteps.
He's always been the first one I've called if I'm having a bad shift or something rattles me. 7 years working with Dad, and yeah, I'll cherish that forever.
Sent off in true style. One final show of respect, a fitting end to what's been a remarkable career. Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
The Battle of Britain was a major turning point in the history of World War II, and it was when the forces of Nazi Germany had their ambitions to invade Great Britain stopped in their tracks.
A benefit night is underway at Lake Macquarie for an Australian cricketer who shone briefly but brightly. Robert Dutchy Holland is battling cancer, and tonight some heavyweights of Australian cricket are lending a hand. NBN's Sam Jordan has stepped away from the news desk tonight, and he's with a former Australian captain.
That's right, Lobby. I do apologise for giving you guys the extra sports workload tonight, but it is for a good cause. I am with Mark Taylor, and Mark, a fantastic occasion to support a fantastic person as well.
Absolutely. I was very lucky some 30 odd years ago to make my debut with Dutchy Holland in the side. He was one of the more elder statesmen, but a real gentleman, and became a good friend of mine. So I'm delighted to be able to come here to Toronto this evening and be part of a bit of a cricketing night. So nice to be here.
You mentioned the fact that he's such a gentleman, obviously a fantastic cricketer, but it's that personality of his that really speaks highly of the man.
Absolutely, but also a really good competitor. You know, he was tough on the field. People didn't see that, and you don't see that with Dutchy, but a gentleman on the field and off it, but also a tough competitor. So I think a really good balance for a cricketer.
And a good chance for you to catch up with some former teammates and the like as well?
Absolutely, there's a few in there. I haven't seen Rick Nakoska for a while. I've seen Wayne Phillips is here, say a few words, and that just gives you an idea of the people that sort of Dutchy Holland touched. You know, Wayne Phillips from South Australia, you know, debuted around the same time as Dutchy. So, you know, nice to see him make the effort to come all the way from Adelaide to speak here tonight.
Now, we couldn't have you tonight without asking about the upcoming summer, obviously a big one. What do you think of the Aussies heading into the Ashes?
I think it's going to be a cracking summer. I really do. I think both sides, Australia and England, are going through a bit of a transition. Both sides are having good results, but at times having disappointing results. So no one really knows what we're going to get for the summer, which I think is going to make it a very good Ashes clash.
Plenty to look forward to in the summer, and plenty to look forward to tonight. We'll have the story on NBN News tomorrow night as well.
Cup Day in Newcastle. A big crowd was on hand, with big hopes too. But the focus was on the day's main race.
What are the tips for the Cup?
It's got to be Sade, mate. Lovely horse, brilliant bred, and, mate, sure winner.
Packadally.
You have a tip?
Packadally. I reckon probably 3 or 8.
Lucky numbers?
No, I just like the names of the horses, but I can't say them.
There was plenty of support for the locals.
The Getaway.
I'm on the Getaway as well.
Their tips, the Getaway's trainer, Paul Perry, likes the sound of.
Sam, look, he's a good outside chance. You know, he's runs at the Wyong Cup and that were terrific, and he'll get back, he'll get the journey for sure, and he's got a good each way chance.
The Getaway finished second in the Wyong Cup a fortnight ago, behind Destiny's Kiss, also in the Newcastle Cup field.
Most of the form's out of that race, really. Take one or two out. And look, he'll get the journey. He's a trier, lightweight. He's got some hope for sure.
Chris Lee's had 3 runners chasing his first win in the event. If Norths and Souths is Newcastle Hockey's oldest rivalry, Norths and Gosford is the newest, and judging by some of their matchups this campaign, the players feel the same. The two clubs will meet in the decider for the 3rd year in a row. As it stands, they've claimed 1 premiership each. Last year, Norths won.
And that rivalry's continued throughout the year with some really tough battles. Gosford's got the better of us throughout the year, but we're really looking forward to the opportunity to turn that table on the weekend.
It's not just Norths who Gosford has got the better of, undefeated so far this season.
I think it gives us a little bit maybe of a mental edge, but just from experience playing this comp a fair few times, these blue boys know how to turn up in September.
But they know what the boys in blue are capable of, particularly on the counter-attack, as they did to move into the decider.
They only got into South Circle maybe 4 or 5 times in that second half, and they put 3 goals away quite clinically.
Look, lots of confidence taken after last week's game. Boys performed really, really well for the full 70 minutes, so we're really excited about this week's grand final.
It's an odd matchup for Ferguson, lining up against his 2 housemates.
Been getting a fair bit of stick ever since we moved in. They've got plenty of Norths Cups in the cupboard, Premier Cups, minor Premiers Cups, and they keep reminding me about that. So, look, I'd love nothing more on Sunday than just to have that trophy and rub it right in their faces. I suppose they'd love the exact same thing back.
It's more important than ever that the magnificent heritage-listed Broadmeadow rail facility be preserved, and we keep the trains that are there currently in Newcastle and the Hunter rather than being sent off to Sydney.
get down low and... It was the message of the day for these children at Bonnells Bay, bravely entering a simulated house fire. The exercise helping prepare the younger generation for the bushfire season.
So if it does come to that time where they do need to do something and the adults aren't around, then they know what to do.
I just called straight for it. I just held my breath for so long.
It's all part of the state's Get Ready weekend. Thousands of fireys, cadets and support crew meeting with their community to help residents stay safe.
So the wooden spoon's just a reminder that the 80% of the fires start within the kitchen.
It's really good just seeing everything close up and how it works.
Although the bushfire danger period officially begins in October, these scenes from the Hunter this week already tell a worrying story. The RFS urging residents to be prepared.
Have your bushfire survival plan ready. Clean your gutters out with leaf and debris. Obviously, if you can get leaf guard, put leaf guard in and prepared, ready to go if the bushfire does come.
Talia Sav, NBN News.
Heat waves up in the Armidale, Tamworth region, and then when we got down here, we got a bit closer around Scone, we had absolutely freezing conditions where we were all really cold and crosswinds of about 58 k's an hour.
All the Celtic nations coming together as one to remember where they came from.
We're celebrating the Celtic culture, mainly trying to keep the culture alive, the people that historically settled this country and brought the bagpipes with them.
There was no shortage of Scottish pride on display, sporting their clan's tartan, a tradition passed down to the next generation.
I think it's important because you are your roots, you are where you come from, and every culture's brought something to this country that we all share, and the Scottish culture, of course, is right out there, you can't miss it.
You also couldn't miss the guest of honour, Clans of the Coast chieftain and Sutherland Commissioner Graham Sutherland, who didn't go anywhere without his trusty bodyguard.
I have Andrew from the 42nd Society, Highland Regiment, and he's charged with the dubious pleasure of protecting me throughout the afternoon.
The 10th Clans on the Coast didn't miss a beat. From historic reenactments to the East Coast Strongman Championships, spectators got the chance to try their hand at a traditional Scottish pastime. And Highland dancing is always a crowd favourite. This year it was no different. Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
In a room full of Australian cricketing stars and iconic memorabilia, none shone like Robert Dutchie Holland. After all, the night was in his honour, supporting his brave battle with cancer.
We're just so humbled by the amount of effort that's gone into this night, and I can't believe how good it is.
It was an event fully organised by friends, while former teammates flew in from across the country.
We have a responsibility, I think, and that when our mates, and you wear that baggy green, they become your mates, and if you can help, you do, and we can.
A night of laughs and good memories, and praise for the man who has helped so many, not only at the top, where he played 11 tests for his country, taking 34 wickets, but also at the grassroots level, where he's worked tirelessly.
Dutchie's really an icon of the local area and sport in this part of the world, so I'm not really surprised, to be honest, that we've got such great interest from locally, but also from the guys overseas. But it's been really humbling and pleasing to see the impact we've got tonight.
Messages came in from across the globe.
What a great friend you were and a teammate to all of us.
You're a special man, very dear in my heart and dear in a lot of people's hearts.
The sport right behind Newcastle cricket's pioneer.
We're very fortunate with the game. We need to protect it, we need to encourage it, and let's hope that he'll be around for a heck of a long time to enjoy it.
Yeah, he's that real number 10. He's not somebody who can play in there. He can score goals, great free kicks, great delivery. He's just composure. It's the composure in that last minute, you know, the front third where you rush a pass, you know, he gives a bit of polish.
A few changes for the Jets in their last pre-season hit-out. Jack Duncan remained in goals and was tested. But most of the action was at the other end. Newcastle dominating midfield, but early on lacked the final touch. Andrew Naboot with a number of the opening chances. Wayne Brown took a knock, but played on, and with impact, his clever ball finding Roy O'Donovan for the opener. Naboot looked to have one of his own not long afterwards, but was deemed offside. Early chances for Wellington and Newcastle in the second, before mass changes and an equaliser for Phoenix. Joe Champness scored the winner, another goal in his impressive pre-season. They met in the first week of the finals. On that day, Beaches won after the siren, but the stakes were much higher today, and the Wanderers' urgency reflected that. Ben Domkins with the quick tap for the opener. It was a tense first half, but it's hard to deny the Wanderers looked more dangerous. Their set plays well drilled, as he has so many times this season. Josh McCormack raced into space, some individual brilliance from Tim Marsh doing the rest. Up 10-0, but the two Blues could have gone down a man. The Beaches opting for goal on that penalty, but it didn't help the halftime margin. Again, off the scrum, and again it was McCormack who did the damage, finding George Ashworth. The halftime score 17-3. But it wasn't over. The Beaches' big men straight to work in the second, and space in defence opened up as a result. The Wanderers continued to threaten, almost scoring more than once, before Dave Waller muscled over. With their season on the line, Beaches had a few tricks up their sleeve, but they couldn't stop the Wanderers. Back into first grade, Ashworth had his second of the afternoon, sending the Wanderers into the grand final against Hamilton.
Tackling a Newcastle landmark today, Rural Fire Service volunteers preparing for a much taller order.
We're in training to do 1,504 steps up the Sydney Tower Eye on the 14th of October to raise money for motor neurone disease research.
While that sounds tough enough, imagine doing it kitted out in 20 kilos of firefighting equipment.
It's a tough climb, it's 98 floors and it's hot and enclosed. It's a narrow circular staircase, steel stairs, concrete walls, so it is quite claustrophobic.
For some, it's a cause close to their hearts, having witnessed just how devastating the disease is.
My mum died from motor neurone disease in 2009, so I was really doing it for her. It's a terminal illness, and once you've got it, that's it. So the more awareness we can raise and the more research we can do, then we can put a stop to it.
More than 500 firefighters from far and wide will take part in the challenge. Along with Queen's Wharf, the Lower Hunter team has been training at the Merewether Stairs and Mount Tomaree. Finding time hasn't been easy.
We have fire commitments. We've had a couple of busy weeks and no doubt it will get busier, so we'll just fit it in where we can.
Louise McClelland is the oldest member of the group and has been preparing since last year.
The brigade and the RFS in particular, we're a big family and we support each other, and the guys have been absolutely fantastic. They know that I'm going to be the last to arrive, but that's okay.
If you want to support the firefighters, simply head to their donation page. Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
Ken Warby has lived his life in the fast lane, and as the saying goes, like father, like son.
Not just your father, but you've got the world water speed record holder next to you building a boat to break his record. So sometimes I think of that and go, wow, that's pretty special.
78-year-old Ken remains the fastest man on water, setting the record of 511 kilometres an hour in 1978. But together, Ken and David aim to rewrite the record books.
He's the only person in the world alive that's ever held a world water speed record. So he's had it that way for 38 years. So hopefully if I can break a record, we can start a club of record breakers.
And this is the boat they hope to do it with. The Spirit of Australia 2, built in a humble shed at Wickham and designed to take David faster than anyone before.
Oh, look, I'm pretty confident. Hey, I designed the boat.
Back in 78, Ken captured the imagination of a nation. The original Spirit of Australia was built with his very hands for just a few $100. From his backyard, Ken took on the world and won. Now, it's David's turn.
I believe the boat will break the record, but we'll go at it step by step, and that's how you keep yourself in one piece, and that's how you break a world record.
As for just when that will be...
So if he's ready to go, go. If he's not, I'll jump in and do it.
Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
They're passionate people, the Toronto community in Australia, and we get together every 2 years at Toronto Fest, and they're just passionate about their car. As you can see, the cars are shiny and they're well looked after.
Chasing a third consecutive grand final berth, the Scorpions set the tone early, applying pressure on both sides of the field. It was one-way traffic, with Macquarie in control as Nathan Cantor muscled his way through, extending his side's lead. It just didn't seem to be the Butcher Boys' day. Time and time again, they were their own worst enemies, and the Scorps showed no mercy. 20-0 up at half-time, the onslaught only continued after the break, Matthew Hay snaring his second, while Randall Briggs also got in on the action. Mitchell Mason crossed for Macquarie's third try in 10 minutes, blowing the score out to 36-0. Scott Briggs made a break from dummy half but couldn't go all the way, Cantor finishing it off. The exhibition continued when Brett Murray sent the ball sky high, Macquarie's Andrew Sumner getting his hands on the ball and flooring it, leaving Central in his wake. Macquarie was unrelenting and the Butcher Boys had no answers, as the Scorps carved them up 60-0. Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
Someone who's a fantastic technical footballer, and I'm sure someone who'll add a lot to us, with and without the ball.
The Matildas are doing really well, and I think that's helping the W League and all young girls playing football. There's an increasing rate in participation for female footballers, so it's really important.
Jesse Nikolovsky and Daniel Petrick, two men accused of taking an innocent man's life. That man, 41-year-old Robert Parry. On the opening day of their trial, prosecutor Lee Carr told the Supreme Court jury Petrick and Nikolovsky drove to Wickham the morning of the murder. Parking their car a block away, the pair covered their faces, donned gloves, then moved in. Nikolovsky and Petrick allegedly stormed Mr. Parry's Dixon Street home at around 3 a.m. on March 7 After threatening Mr. Parry, Petrick then allegedly shot him in the stomach with a shortened .22 caliber rifle before ransacking his bedroom, stealing cannabis, a smoking pipe and cigarettes. All while his father, Alan Parry, was inside at the time. The Crown alleges after fatally shooting Mr. Parry, Petrick then stepped over his body and confronted Alan Parry at the entrance to his bedroom, asking him where's the cash and drugs, to which Parry Sr. replied, "I don't know." Petrick then allegedly told him, "You're next," and left. The court heard Mr. Parry was shot at near point-blank range and died at the scene. Petrick and Nikolovsky are each facing one charge of murder and another of robbery in company while armed with a dangerous weapon. Both have pleaded not guilty. The Crown will continue its opening address tomorrow. The trial is set down for 5 weeks. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
It's a bitter turf war, one the wild dogs have been winning.
With wild dogs, you have the capacity for one dog to go out in one night and kill 20, 30 head of sheep easily.
But now there's a concerted effort to turn the tables. For the first time ever, stakeholders, including landowners, mining companies and government agencies, are working together.
We've put funding in, just under $1 million for the next 4 years for a professional wild dog controller program.
We're going to have a pool of professional wild dog controllers in the area which are able to use all the different methods, so whether that be baiting, trapping, howling, shooting or the use of the 1080 ejectors.
They can just go in and just keep hunting a dog down till they get him, and instead of where landholders committed to, running the general day-to-day operations.
It's estimated wild dogs cost Australia's agriculture industry up to $89 million a year. But it's not just the financial impacts taking its toll.
The farmers themselves come out into the paddock in the morning and they see 20, 30, 40, 50 slain sheep. And it has a horrific impact on them and their mental health as well, which I think is a critical issue here.
You'll never get rid of them totally, but you'll control them.
Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
Bev Hopper has always loved art, but a stroke in 2015 threatened to rob her of the pastime.
Initially I couldn't even sit up. They had to teach me how to sit. So I've come quite a long way really.
10 weeks ago, Bev joined the Art Stroke group at the Rankin Park Rehabilitation Centre, reigniting her passion.
It's kind of relaxing and it makes you think creatively.
The group caters for stroke survivors of all ages and abilities and has been shown to have both physical and mental health benefits.
Fantastic, I love it. Beautiful, having a lovely time.
It's improved their cognition and their ability to think. It's meant that they're getting out of their homes and socialising and getting that social connectedness and improving their mood.
Artist and teacher Deanne Newland has seen an increase in participants' confidence and is inspired by the collection of works.
Beautiful. They should be in a gallery. I'm so impressed with them.
The artists too are rightly chuffed.
What's been the favourite thing that you've...
Probably the, I think my canvas, the one that had a single water lily over there. I love that. That was my favourite.
The The best of the best will soon go on display at John Hunter Hospital. And now the program has finished for the year, many of the artists are looking for accessible places in the community to continue their work, while others have already set up studios at home.
I can feel that they've enjoyed it so much, and it's such a good thing for their art for the soul.
He was cricket's gentleman right to the end. That famous Dutchy Holland smile shined bright last Friday at a special fundraiser, with cricket greats coming together to support his brave battle with cancer.
What a great friend you were and a teammate to all of us.
You're a special man, very dear in my heart and dear in a lot of people's hearts.
A fight he sadly lost yesterday. Mark Nicholas paid tribute on Twitter this morning, saying a very special man of cricket has passed away. The memory of Robert Dutchy Holland will last forever, a true gentleman, while former Australian captain Michael Clarke offered his thoughts and prayers for the Holland family. Mark Taylor hosted Friday's event. This morning he too remembered the talented leg spinner.
And that's, I think, was the secret to Dutchy's success as a first-class cricketer, just consistently landing his leg spinner and being a lot more competitive than a lot of people sort of gave him credit for. He's no doubt he was one of the game's great gentlemen.
Dutchy played 11 tests for Australia, taking 34 wickets. He was a late bloomer, getting his baggy green in 1984 at the age of 38. But he made an immediate impact, demolishing the fabled West Indies lineup in the summer of 1984-85. Australia's one-day team will wear black armbands during Thursday's clash with India. But perhaps his legacy will be at the sport's grassroots. A proud Toronto man, Dutchy is credited with creating a junior club from nothing in the 90s, a club he dedicated his life to.
He did everything from curating wickets, running the canteen, cooking barbecues, committee meetings. A guy of his stature to come back and do what he did, it can't be put into words. He never asked for help, he just did it selflessly.
Robert Dutchy Holland was 70. Kate Haberfield, NBN News.
It's good to be there consistently. What I'm really proud of is now we've gone 2 races in a row without a penalty through training all the way through quali and racing. So we're getting very consistent in the aircraft and we're flying it fast without risk of penalties.
They're a team of world beaters, happy to be on home soil, but still getting used to all the attention.
To be able to come off that Tournament of Nations competition, on top, has definitely done wonders for us. Yeah, everything's exciting, everything's a little bit new now with all the media attention and what have you.
Proud Novocastrian Emily Van Egmond led the side out in front of almost 16,000 fans in Penrith on Saturday afternoon.
It's very humbling and obviously it's an honour.
Believe it or not, it was the first time the Matildas have ever sold out a stadium in Australia. Similar numbers are expected in Newcastle tomorrow night for the second and final friendly against Brazil.
To be able to come home and play a game in Sydney, and obviously to come up to Newcastle and play in front of family and friends is something very special, and it's definitely going to be a night that I'll hold close to my heart, I think, for a while.
It's a real purple patch for this young side, rapidly rising up the FIFA rankings, now the 6th best women's team in the world.
We've got a very young team and the girls have now played together for a couple of years, so I think things are kind of just coming together and there's a lot of belief and a lot of talent in the team as well.
Belief Chloe Lagazzo credits to coach Alan Stadgic.
He gets the best out of every single player, and it really helps when every single player and everyone on the bench is on the same page.
The Matildas will meet their fans at an open training session at McDonald Jones Stadium tonight.
We're just extremely happy to be home.
Kate Haberfield, NBN News.
Vargas was supposed to be on light duties, but he chose to complete his first session, making a big impact on his teammates. The coach also likes what he sees.
I was looking for experience. I was looking for someone that's composed in the front third, someone that could not only score goals but create goals. So really a typical number 10, but he can play wide on the right-hand side as well. His resume speaks for itself.
We said we'd try and get a marquee player. I know some fans never thought we would, but we said we'd do it and we've done it. He is a real marquee. He's a Venezuelan international, played at the top level overseas for many years.
The 30-year-old says the city and club have made a great first impression on him.
Good weather, good club, good people.
Ernie Merrick revealed he didn't think the deal would get done.
Laurie and I, we were becoming a bit pessimistic, but to his credit, Joe Griffiths never let up. In fact, it cost me a bottle of champagne this morning. When he got him over the line, I promised his wife a bottle of champagne, and so I'm out of pocket, so Vargas had better score some goals.
The Jets will now hold 2 intra-club trials over the next 2 weekends. But will Vargas be ready for round 1?
I think it comes down to making sure he's ready to go and there's no danger with injuries. I mean, you can never tell if there's going to be a traumatic injury at some stage, but we'll ease him in. If he's ready to go, he'll start. If he's not ready to go, he'll be on the bench.
I promise to work hard in all these 2 weeks to be ready for the competition.
Despite knowing very little about the A-League, he already knows Newcastle fans are desperate for success.
I want to try to do my best to get the team up how he was some years ago. So I hope I can do this with the help of my teammate, of course.
I think it's just cohesion. I think we obviously have just come together, a lot of new blokes from all over the state. So just getting that cohesion and synergy going so we all kind of play as a unit.
Preparing our younger generations for the job of the future can seem a daunting task.
But by encouraging critical thinking from an early age, students at one Newcastle school are hoping to get a head start on tomorrow's creative industries.
Hi, I'm Zoe Garland.
And I'm Thomas Manning.
From Bel Air Public School.
Today we'll be having a look at our Creative Learners program.
The Creative Learners program gives the students of Bel Air the opportunity to experience activities aimed to develop critical thinking and creativity.
There's always the challenge of things not going right, things being hard, things being just not how we'd like them to be. And that part of learning where you have to stop, think, reflect on what you've done, look at the problems that you've encountered, overcome them and move forward is an absolutely essential part of that learning process.
The program extending across the entire student body, from Year 6 all the way to Kinder.
We code the caterpillar and we have fun with it. We made it to turn and turn again and go straight and then make a noise. Because we got to work with people that we didn't know and now I know them and we got to learn new things.
Now I know all the rhythms and beats and now I can go and play other percussion instruments.
The program also extends into the community, with skilled volunteers providing authentic experiences that are fuller and more diverse than what the school can provide alone.
At the start, I found that a lot of kids were coming into the classroom and they were really nervous and worried about breaking things or doing the wrong thing or saying the wrong thing. And by the end of the time, they were really experimenting and learning and gained a lot of knowledge around Japanese culture and things as well, which is really positive.
Critical thinking, problem solving and creativity. The skills at the heart of a unique learning program at Bel Air Primary School. I'm Thomas Manning.
And I'm Zoe Garland.
Reporting to you
for NBN News Junior Journos.